Good evening, everyone. Jose J Garcia, real estate investor, coach, and mentor. Got another Sunday coaching series this evening. Running a little behind, as you can see, 5 minutes after, but we're going to jump right on into it. Jump right on into it. And this coaching, we're always moving the coaching Sundays from Q&As to different topics. It's always about adding value anywhere we can, of course, because we want to help you as much as possible to get out the message. As we're trying to build a community. That's why we do this here. So free. That being said, however, I'm always paying attention to what are the things that people are most struggling with or are most asking. The same emails I constantly see with the same kind of questions. Obviously, everything's a little different, but it's around the same kind of questions I try to make reels, try to make little shorts on that. I'll make YouTube videos, and we do have a Q&A. We do have a Q&A that is coming also, so stay tuned for that. And you can keep sending your emails. We will answer them at a time and the manner. I know sometimes it takes us longer. We get hundreds of emails. Just be mindful of that, but we try to help, like I said, everybody as much as possible. But we spent Saturday in North Georgia, Ball Ground, Georgia, where we covered with Mr. Robert Bogino. He is an investor partner friend, and great guy. He's a realtor, he's a broker. He hosted his house, his brand new double wide on land. It was a whole new concept, which is one we are doing now. We are purchasing real estate, land, and converting personal property, mobile homes into real property. For those of you that joined us out there yesterday, you kind of saw the breakdown of the numbers from start to end to everything that goes in between, the permits, the inspections. I mean, just, step by step by step. And this is why it is crucial for anybody that's getting into mobile home investing. You got to get involved. You got to go out there. You got to take action. And I mean, I can't tell you how many people signed up and didn't show up. I mean, it's just one of those, free event. We made it free because the first time around, Mr. Bogino had a few issues with the county, just kind of zoning he was dealing with. And at the time, it was not the right time to have an event out there. So we kind of postponed it. And then we said, you know what, let's give it to the crowd for free. So, that's the way of us giving back. That was still 2 hours out of my way, one way to go out there, which is fine. I love what I do. I love traveling, and part of freedom, we get to do these kind of things. But, great event. And one thing that he kept going over was the whole company. And he's a realtor, he's a broker, so he's able to look into the MLS, all these sites that we don't get as mobile homes. I call them luxury sites, which you can use some, Realtor, Zillow, Trulia, the more normal. But if you're a realtor and a broker, you kind of get a little more insight into numbers and what's to come, what's being posted, that sort of thing. So, but where he is investing, there's not as many comps comparables, meaning that there has not been that many mobile homes on land being sold. So he's kind of not at a plateau, but it's one of those kind of goes, comes back. He's having to actually get appraisals before he's able to get comparables. Now, he is creating his own comparables because he's investing, he's putting them on the market, and he's selling them. Now, what happens when he puts it on the real market and he sells it? That home now becomes a comparable. So if he invests on the one down the street or the one right beside it, now he's able to use that as, hey, that's a comparable. But even when you have a mobile home as a comparable, now you have to be able to compare accordingly. Now we get back into the whole mobile home concept of, hey, you don't comp a single to a double. You don't comp a 3-bedroom to a 1-bedroom. You see the comparisons are there. Now, I typically say, find homes. There's always a home. There is always a home to comp to because you're thinking about in a community. That's where we do the most investing, in mobile home communities, mobile home parks. They're not called trailer parks. Don't call them trailer parks anymore. Okay, so, but we're able to find what has sold in the past 30, 60, 90 days. Very similar to real estate. When you're out in the country, like Mr. Bogino is at, it's not the same thing. You got land. There's no community parks. And even if it was, it wouldn't matter because the mobile homes inside of communities don't have land. You can't comp that way. So what I want to do tonight is I want to break down. I want to give you comparison as to how you can comp in comparison, even when it's very differently. I'll say it that way. But it's very different of a comp. You just have to be able to reduce, add, or just be able to be mindful of what's the comparison. Okay. Now, every market is different. Let me mention that right now. For some of you in New York or New Jersey or Washington, or these numbers are going to be different everywhere you're at. You got to study the market regardless. That ROI, the ARVs, after repair values, the return on your investments, the entry points, they could be very high. Some of my numbers, you could be thinking I'm crazy. Okay. We sell mobile homes down here in communities for, let's say, 20, 25, or 30,000. That may be the entry point in Washington. So, I want to point that out because we get people from everywhere. And when we have events, we get them from everywhere. So, but no, all in all, it was a great event. We were actually out there also recording the confessions. So for those of you that follow our social media, our YouTube in specific, Mobile Home Confessions in Cars, you're gonna like that episode with Mr. Bogino. Mr. Bogino, he's a TikToker. I'll say that. He produces plenty of his own social media. He's had a podcast on and off. So, he's out there. The guy's out there. He's doing his thing. He's very successful with what he does. And he shares the insight raw, which is what I like about it. You got all these gurus and all these teachers and all these online, and it's like everybody wants to share their win, win, win. I love to hear this. Absolutely. But I also want to hear what didn't work out because I learn more from a failure than I do from a win-win-win. Okay. So, putting him on a confessions, I thought it fits him perfect. And it didn't, it did not disappoint. I mean, 2 minutes into it, he was talking about raw, unedited footage, like we talk about mobile home confessions. So definitely check that out. Episode comes out this Friday night. And when I say we went out into the country, we went out into the country. We chose the wrong vehicle. I'll say that. Check it out, Friday. All right. So let's get started on this. And Instagram, for those of you joining, I know it's a little hard to see on here, but the call is recorded. It is recorded, right? Yeah, it is recorded. It'll be posted tomorrow morning on YouTube, so you can watch the replay as well. So stay towards the end. We're going to announce a couple things. One is a very important announcement. I want y'all all to get it. So, all right. Things that you need to be mindful when you're thinking about a comparable. All right, forget about compares for a second. We're going to compare mobile home to mobile home, apples to apples, oranges to oranges. We want to be as close and as specific as possible. Now, if you're talking about community to community, different things, and I've said this over and over, we're gonna focus more on land, but I don't want you to think that because it's one community, I can comp this mobile home here to the mobile home park 20 miles down the road. Different, very different on that as well. Okay. But things you want to focus on as a comparable: number of bedrooms, number one. And that's huge. Remember, the best way to add value, the best way to increase rental rates in a mobile home is add bedrooms. I've had investors who say, hey, Jay, I decided to take the wall down because these 2 bedrooms were a little small. So instead of having 2 right here on this side of the mobile home, I made it into a big one. Well, you just reduce the price of the home and you just reduce how much you can rent in a month. So good job if that's what you were aiming for. I would have added an extra room in there somewhere, and in additions coming to that. Okay. So we'll cover some of that as well. Number of bathrooms do make a difference. So I know 2 2s, meaning 2 bedroom, 2 bath versus 2 1. That's a difference. 2 1 and a bath, 1.5, that you're back into a more comparison. So again, be mindful. We are being very specific on this one. I just want you to learn this. And there's a gray area. Again, depends on the market, depends on the area. It's going to differ up or down, that kind of thing. Double versus single, that's a big difference. If it's a double wide, double wides are 2 single wides put together, okay, versus a single wide. Now, here's another thing I want to add. In this, I caught this immediately when we were out there with Mr. Rogino. A beautiful home. I mean, his home is a brand new double wide. So, but he said, yeah, Jay, this is actually 1,560 square foot. That's smaller than a single wide. Now, it's big. It's big. It's spacious. The layout is phenomenal. And that's, 2023 fleet. You kind of imagine what they come up with the technology. But when you think about what is bigger, a single wide or a double wide? Well, a double wide is wider, but it not necessarily mean it's bigger. If you take a double wide like what he has at 1,500 square footage, you can actually go out and get a 16 by 80 single wide, and you got over 1,600 square foot. And that may be a 4 bedroom. So again, it's all about one of those things. But you have to remember that when you're pumping these things, there is a difference. Most people will go for double wides, by the way. So, as a buyer, as an end buyer, not as an investor, right? Total square footage, I just mentioned on that. Age of the home varies. If it's on land, we do have a definitely a difference on it. Just it would have to be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, something within difference. 2, 3 year difference is not going to matter. So sorry, Zoom. I know I'm multitasking here. I'm reading off my notes. I want to make sure I cover it all. Again, Zoom is a much better place to join. I've thought about bringing y'all back on Zoom, maybe. Yeah, maybe. We'll keep thinking about that. Overall condition. What is the condition of the mobile home? Now, if you're getting into the whole as is rehabber, we're not talking about that. We're talking end, okay, after repair value. Porches, especially if you're in Florida, a porch is a big deal. Porches are a big deal. Carports, that's another one. And in something like Florida, carports is actually where they keep the laundry. It is so hot down there that they don't keep a washer and a dryer, especially inside the mobile home. They put those outside. So a carport would be something that definitely is more seen as an upgrade, not just somewhere to park a car. Storage areas, shed. If you have a extra shed on the outside, that will add some value. If you have an extra bedroom that you build onto the mobile home, that will definitely add some value. And again, remember, add rooms, add rooms. I have a 4 bedroom, 16 by 80. Is there a way for me to add also another extension on the side? Make it a number 5 bedroom. Do it. Absolutely. Okay. If you're talking about land, now we're adding land into the mix. So now there's real property, whether the mobile home has been converted from personal to real, there's real property involved, real estate, right? So now you have to comp like a real estate investor. You got to get involved in this. Size of the parcel, meaning the size of the lot, size of the land. Okay. How much land do you get with that? Okay. Shape of the parcel. Every parcel, it's not the same. Okay. I see some beautiful square. I mean, it's basically a box, a parcel of land. And then you have some that I don't know what shape that is. It does not belong in the shape. It's not. It's just weird. And then there's drop offs. If the back of, the front yard is kind of small, is narrow, and you're trying to compare to the one across the street, which is a flat all the way around, massive front yard and backyard, but your backyard is woods and then it drops 20 feet down. Okay, you get where I'm going with that. So some of this we're going to keep it simple and we're going to use common sense. So location, obviously, market to market, numbers. I'm not going to compare my home where it's located to something 20 miles down the road. Use this when you're getting into land, you are treating it like real estate. Think about the whole 101 real estate. If you're on one side of the bridge, real estate sells for so much. If you go over the bridge, does it sell for the exact same thing? 9 out of 10 times, no, it don't. It's usually day and night. So and it may be the same. Maybe it is. Maybe it's just the bridge for no reason. Okay. Amenities in the neighborhood, if you have that, HOAs. Back to, let's say, if it's Florida, now you have, in Florida, for instance, you have people that own, it looks like a community, and it is a community, but everybody owns their land. So what happens is everybody has their mobile home and they own that section of the parcel, but there's HOA, there's security, there's gated community command. There's all these amenities. There's, it's HOA for a mobile home community. Everybody owns. So all those things would defer again. Okay. So how do we comp something that's very different of? If you're talking about a single wide to a double wide, 5 bedroom to a 2 bedroom, or how do you reduce or up? Again, every market is different. So keep that in mind. I'm going to use Georgia and some of Florida numbers. All right. So let's say we are comparing two, and here's our subject to property. You have a single wide to a single wide. No difference. Single wide, right? Single wide to single wide is good. However, the one we are selling is a 2 bedroom. The one that we are comping to is a 3 bedroom. So what do we reduce there? Average, 3 to 5,000. And remember, when we show you ARVs on our homes, we say, hey, a 2.2 in Central Georgia is going for anywhere from 18 to 19,000. You'll notice that we go to the next sheet and it says, hey, it's a 3.2, and this one will sell anywhere from 22 to 25,000. That is the difference in. You add another bedroom into it, now you're at 27. Now you're at 28. It just depends on the size of this here. Okay. Now you got the bathrooms. 2 bathroom is the comparable. 1 bathroom is our home. minus 1 or 2 thousand, give or take. Now, year wise, again, I don't, it would have to be a 1980 that I have that I'm trying to sell, comparing it to a 2000 model. That would mean that there's definitely a difference. Now, we are talking about the selling points. If I was renting it, I don't really care if it's 20 years older. I'm going to rent it for the same amount because of the square footage, because of the location. There's a whole difference in that. No carport. If there is a carport, like I said, in Florida, you're adding anywhere from 5 to 7 thousand. Now, that doesn't mean it may take 5 to 7 thousand. Bear with me, guys. There we go. I lost volume. My apologies. All right, let's keep going. Size of the lot, again, real estate numbers, if it varies higher, more, double, depends on the size. If it's in the community, even though you own the home, you compare those two. All right. So that kind of gives you an idea, is you're adding and you're taking away. Depends on, maybe you have a 3-2, and the one you're comparing to is a 2-2, 2-1, right? So you kind of have to vary on those. So let's say on that one, we are going to do exactly that. A double wide is what we're comparing, and it's a single wide that we have. Now that's a big difference in size, big difference in mobile home. We're going to reduce immediately anywhere from around 10 to 12,000. If I'm comping a single wide to a double wide, there is a difference. Square footage, you got to keep in mind. Okay, you got to keep in mind in that, because again, if your single wide is much bigger, then we may reduce that number to maybe 5,000, maybe 3,000. It just depends. A lot of variables. Yours is newer than the double wide. Most end buyers like double wides because they think they're getting so much more of a house. They're not. A lot of them are not. I mean, you have some 24 by 40s. Do the math on that and multiply. That's what that means. 24 times 40 equals what? 16 wide times 80 long equals what? There's a big difference there, right? 3 bedroom, 2 bath, minus 5,000. Again, you're reducing. That's one bedroom is gone. Okay. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom to 2 bathrooms, 1 to 2,000. Maybe I may just decide to keep it. Okay. And then two carport, let's just say, stays the same. The carports are equal, whether it's a single wide or double wide. Maybe your single wide has a bigger carport than the double wide. That's an exterior added to. That's in a sense not added to. Okay. Built in 1982 for the double wide and built in 1977 for the single wide, we will reduce maybe anywhere from 3 to 4,000. These are estimated numbers that we're doing. Is there a flat number, Kelly Blue Book out there somewhere? They have them. I don't recommend you using them because I think they're very off. I would say they're off as bad, almost as much as bad as Zillow is off on real estate. Numbers are wacko. Okay. Some are kind of on, some are not. And then when you start getting into the real specifics, they're off. The numbers are terrible. Okay. Not to mention, conditions are never listed. Good, bad, great. What does that mean? Right? Good, bad, great could be anything. I consider something good may not necessarily fall in that category. So, all right, let's keep going. Let me see. 172. So, and I can keep giving you these numbers, comparables. I would say the biggest thing that you want to focus on is bedrooms, bathrooms, size of the mobile home, location. And I still want to stick to, if it's real property, that's one thing. If it's inside of a community, I want to focus on the rental rates. The anything that comes with the rent. Does the rent include water, trash, sewer? Because that's where we're competent. Okay. When you get into this whole with land, you are really more into the real estate side now. And if you retire the title to the you retire the title of the mobile home to the land, you converted that mobile home into real property. There's no more mobile home. Now it's a house. That's how it's got to be treated. If there's mobile homes around it, you're going to comp to those. If there's houses, yes, stick built, there is a comparable from a mobile home double wide, single wide to a preferably double wide to a house. You got to know those numbers as well. Realtors, I would say at this point, you're into the real estate game. Realtors, brokers, I would say definitely connect with them. Look at square footage because that's what they pay attention to. And one thing to keep in mind is, we went from talking about personal property. When you're talking about a mobile home, it's not square footage. It's width and length. That's how we project our numbers. How big is my mobile home? Oh, well, I have a 14 by 70 or a 16 by 80 or by 60 if it's an old one. All right. If we're talking about real estate, now you have to multiply. You're not going to go to a realtor and say, oh, I have a 14 by 70. What does that mean? Right. You're going to say, oh, it's a 1600 square foot house, because in your mind, you know, it is a 16 by 80. You're multiplying these numbers. I know I'm tossing numbers out there, sound like a mathematician. I'm not that smart with numbers. I use calculators and I use formulas. Okay. This is a educational to try to help you realize and understand that you can compare. I know that some of you are getting into a lot of these properties, real estate, and we are there with you. We are buying land. Our goal is to buy land, more land, and put mobile homes on it. Some will keep as personal property, some will turn into real property, but it's now the different numbers. There will be less comparables because we're not talking about 300 mobile homes inside of a community. When you have 3, 4, 500 mobile homes inside of a community, somebody is always selling. Somebody's always sold past 30, 60, 90 days. So it's very easy to comp on those. Okay. When you're making offers, these are the things you have to keep in mind. Okay. This is especially huge as to keep in mind. Okay. I'm buying a single wide. Across the street, they sold a double wide. Now, what is one thing that a seller likes to do? Every seller. Well, for one, every seller, whether they're in real estate or mobile homes, everybody thinks their home is worth the most. That's number one. But then they want to compare to the nicest mobile home that just sold, and they don't care because you don't know they don't know what they're talking about. So to them, it's like, well, you know, John sold his double wide for 50,000. Yet when John had a double wide, it's a 2000 model Fleetwood. You have a 1980 single wide. It's a 14 by 60. That's not the same thing, but you have to be able to coach them, right? Professionally, respectfully. You have to coach them and say, well, look, here's the differences. You have 2 less bedrooms. You have X amount of square footage, less than they do. They have a carport, you know, apples to oranges, you know, again, very respectfully on that. Here's one thing that caught my attention, and somebody actually sent this. We post a lot of ads, post a lot of reels, a lot of social media posts on Instagram, and a lot of those are, you know, getting engagement. I want to hear what y'all are struggling with, what you're working on. And one of the things that I saw was somebody said how to make an offer, and it caught my attention because you know I love closing. I consider myself a great closer. And when they started saying what they were mentioning, I said, absolutely not. So I'm not calling them out, but I want to put it on here because what they said is exactly what I would not say at all. And there's a reason behind it. So they said basically, why don't you go ahead and just let them know that you're an investor? I say I do, always do. If I'm wholesaling, I may even tell them, hey, we are not taking this mobile home service at this time because of this, that, those reasons, whatever. But here's what we do have is a large database of buyers, and we can connect them. As a matter of fact, why don't you let us broker the mobile home? I would approach maybe something like that. The way this investor put it was like, I want to be more transparent. Be more transparent. We're not hiding anything. But he said, and I quote, not word for word, okay? I would tell them, well, your home is too high. I'm an investor and I like to buy low so I can resell it higher. And okay, he goes on. He says, I buy properties at the lowest possible because I have to make a profit. That's how I make a living. Who cares? Anybody listening to this call right now, if you were a seller, you're trying to sell, maybe you're distressed, you need to sell, you're behind on bills, you're behind on this, you're behind on that. This is your key out to get out and start over. Life happens, and somebody's coming in with their story of they have to make money. Does that sound intriguing to anyone? Right? I would approach that this way. Okay. And the reason he was saying these things, I've spoke to him, by the way. He's okay with this call. The reason that I wouldn't say that. Okay. Again, the whole profitable thing, I don't care for that. He was saying that to them because he was trying to make such a low offer so that he can make as much profit as possible. Here's what I have said to somebody, and not because I'm trying to do that in a sense, but because the seller is trying to ask way too much money for their property. I got to use comparables. Like I just mentioned, I got to comp it. It's got to make sense. And if they're asking 15,000, they can ask whatever they want. But based on my comparables, based on my due diligence, I know I can only pay 3,000. I'm not going to offer more than 3,000 because they're asking 15,000. They're crazy, right? So the way I would put that to them would be more in the sense of, hey, here's what happens. Okay, we buy these on a daily basis, right? And homes like this, here is what I typically pay for them. I'm not offering you right there, highlight key. I am not offering you this right here. That's taking away the defense out of it. Okay. But a mobile home in this condition, this size, in this market, with these types, et cetera, we typically pay $3,000. Again, that's not an offer. I understand you have to get what you have because of your situation. So I'm going to go ahead and, I'm not going to waste any more of your time. If for any reason you decide that you can suffer closer to my number, give me a call. Simple as that. And let it be at that. People don't like to be offended and they get offended. If they're asking 15,000, it doesn't matter. And you offer 10,000 less, oh, you're just trying to take advantage. You're just trying to do this. You see, you immediately put them in a defense that's not going to work out. Instead of telling them that you're trying to make as much more money, okay, tell them why you're offering what you're offering. This is what we're able to pay because of this, that, those, etc. Right? That's how I would put this. So I figured I'd add this to this call also. Look, I hope this helps comparables. This is a quick call, 30 minutes. I can only cover so much. I'm talking fast, obviously, because I'm trying to cover as much information as possible. But this is the stuff we coach on. And I say that with a bitterness. And I'm gonna tell you why. Okay. This is the stuff we coached on. Okay. Uh, step by step, mobile home investing, the whole making offers, comparables, that is now at a point where you have a property, a mobile home, that it is a very high potential. That's why you're making offers. If you ever do make offers, put a time frame to. Another thing that investors say is, well, I'll give you 10,000. Just let me know when you can. Sellers are going to do the same thing as buyers, and they're going to shop your offers around. So if you offer 10,000 and they can get 10,500 somewhere else a week later, who do you think they're going to sell it to? When I make an offer, I'll let them know, hey, let me know in 24 hours because if not, I'm going to buy somewhere else. That's a little bit of a hurry. Okay. Things in a hurry typically don't work out, by the way, not for sellers. So, all right. So let's move over to announcements, a couple of those. So, like I said, we had the event Saturday, yesterday. Great event. I love it. Great time out there with Bogino. Great time filming. Awesome. Can't wait for that episode next Friday coming up at 1 p.m. Then we have the Tuesday deals. Let me turn the camera over now. We have the Tuesday deals that we pitch every Tuesday, 7 p.m. EST time, live on here on Instagram as always. And then Saturday mornings check-in. We did the Saturday check-in at the event. You can go check out the stories recorded on our Instagram and watch a little recap of that before I started. And then here comes the big news. So, our goal is to grow, always multiplying, always pushing more and more. The I don't want to call it a problem, but the issue is that the more we grow, the more attention that takes of us, our teams, our admins, our everybody, right? Our goal has been to be nationwide, and we have not grown more than 7 states at this time, and it's because we're honestly on the go, which is a beautiful thing. Coaching is the way I give back. That's why we did yesterday as a free event. Okay. But the shadow event is the day where you get to come out by my side and you spend all day learning about stuff like I just covered on here. How to get deals, how to talk to sellers, how to make offers, how to hire contractors, hold them accountable. Okay. How to do exit strategies, sales, find buyers. I mean, I can keep on listing. It's probably overwhelming. It's not. We break it down step by step by step. That event has turned more investors successful than any other coaching we do. And the reason behind that, I think, is because you can only learn so much from a computer. Listen to me on here, from a book. But when you get out there in the field and you have somebody showing you, this is how we invest, this is what we look for, there's a difference. And to me, this is how I learn. I love reading, I love studying, but when I've had mentors say, Jay, just come on by, let's go out and check out this, let's do that. It just hits. That makes sense. That makes sense. It just turned it into. So that's why I came up with the shadow event years ago. After years of doing that, like I said, we are trying to grow. We're trying to expand. Within the next less than 5 years, we will be nationwide across the board, including New York. I know we'll be up there too. Nice and cold, I'm sure. we are doing the last shadow events. The last shadow event is going to be on August 19th. It's going to be either in Central, maybe East Georgia. We're still deciphering. We'll give you plenty of details with plenty of time for those of you that, because we have people flying here from all over. We've had people flying from New York, from Maine, from New Jersey, from Washington, from Florida. They fly here for this event. It is going to fill up fast. I'm telling you now. This is our last event that I'll be hosting for, I don't know. I don't see the shadow coming back anytime soon. But for those of you that are ready to step up to the next level or maybe get started and start your first mobile home investing, join me August 19th. Some of you on Instagram, I'm sitting here watching you. You've been to that event. You know what I'm speaking about. Great day. And it's not even so much about, so much that you get the educational, but we also have speakers that are there. You're going to have our insurance agents that are there. We have park owners that come in and speak. One of the things that new investors fear the most is picking up the phone and making a call. What do I say to a park owner, a park manager? Don't worry about it. We're going to teach you because we're going to role play. We're going to role play on there, and you're going to be able to hear from these people. Okay, they're going to give you tips and guidance and stuff how you can start investing in their communities. We have our insurance agent that comes out there. Guest speakers always there. We have our contractors learn how and why they rehab a certain way. Why is it that Jay invests in these mobile homes and does this type of rehabs? You get to see that breakdown at the day. Okay. Great event. I mean, all around, just great event. I hope to see you all there who signs up August 19th. It is the last event on that. That's the last time I say that on here. So, TJ, I'll see you on there. You've been to one of my chats. You've been to a couple, maybe one or two. TJ drove 14 hours. TJ, drop a comment on how many hours you drove. I remember you drove. And I've had people drop. I had a couple investors drop from Austin, Texas. I don't know why you didn't fly, but I would fly. I don't want to drive that long. I can't drive an hour before I get bored. But hey, how bad do you want it? As my coaching mentor would say, you can sit on the sidelines forever, or you can step up and take action. Nobody's going to push you to better you. Only you can do that. So that's going to do it for this evening. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you, Instagram. I will see you Tuesday night, 7 p.m. East time live. We'll be back on here pitching the best deals off market. Thank you for watching.